Could you hold that white sheet paper for me real quick? Sorry. Didn't mean to steal your thunder, Coach. There, sorry. All right, thanks.
Again, head coach Bubba Watson. Now you're right. All right, thanks for being here. I think I have either said it most years or certainly intended to. You guys have done a great job of covering our program, and I appreciate that. I've just got a couple of things for you I'm going to touch on briefly, and then we'll get to your questions, so that you know, we're talking about the things that are on your mind as we get ready for the upcoming season. I'm going to start with three things that I think are extremely important for our basketball team if we're going to have a better year than we had a year ago. The two kind of go hand in hand. One, we've got to be a much better defensive team. I felt like we were a good defensive team last year. We need to be a great defensive team, and there's plenty of room for improvement there. We need to improve our rebounding. That would be the second one, and again, it would go in a lot of ways hand in hand with your defense. And then I've talked with our team a lot about our conditioning, and something that we've worked hard on over the course of the summer. We're working hard on it right now, and I think an area that can help us be a better team is our overall conditioning. And those are three areas that we've already spent quite a bit of time on. Our first 3 weeks of practice are going to get a lot of our attention with our defense, our rebounding, and then continuing to work on our conditioning. I feel like we're coming off our best off-season in 3 years. I think that is mainly a result of our guys being a more experienced group. I think your experience comes into play in a lot of ways. And when it comes to your off-season conditioning, I think as guys get older, as they get into their junior and senior year, they realize the importance of it. And they also realize that their careers are getting shorter. I think when you get to the other end, when you're talking about guys that are going from their freshman year to their sophomore year, or they maybe have redshirted, and now their first opportunity to play, those guys have, maybe the best example is Dion and Seth this past year. For those guys to be on the floor and play the number of minutes, the number of games, that kind of experience it serves as a motivator when you get into your off-season stuff. And so I think we've got the best on both ends. We've got some older guys that have prepared themselves better. We've got some younger guys that are highly motivated to be better than they were as freshmen. So our off-season, with the help of our strength and conditioning coach, Jed Smith, I just feel like was terrific. Our schedule's been talked about a lot. This is certainly the best non-league schedule in my time here. As Colin mentioned, my 7th year as our head coach, 5 years as an assistant coach prior to that, and we've had some very good non-league schedules. This one is the best of the bunch, and we won't know until we get through it in terms of the strength of this non-conference schedule. But I am comfortable telling you today that it appears that it will be the hardest one that we've played in my time here. A little bit about the guys. I think a result of our off-season conditioning, a little bit of the motivation that I talked about with some of the younger guys. Last year when we got started, there was maybe 5 pounds between our freshman center and our freshman point guard. And that's not exactly how you would like it. This year I would expect that there'll be close to 30 pounds between the two of them. That Seth is going to be somewhere between 225 and 230, and that Dion is going to be somewhere around 197, 198 instead of 210 pounds. And I think we'll see it in their play. Seth needed the added strength, Dion needed to get in better shape, and they have both worked extremely hard to get that done. I think our group of seniors is much better prepared to handle the leadership role that was thrown upon them last year as juniors. Obviously, Johnny in that role last year did a terrific job. We all know what he meant to our program. But for Jake, for AJ, for Austin, for Mark, so many things were different for them last year as juniors. Different on the floor in terms of what was expected with their production. Different in the locker room, in terms of their leadership, their involvement, and their direction in terms of team chemistry. You know, so many things were different for those 4 guys last year. Sometimes you move a year and you've got part of that as your responsibility. Last year, those 4 guys moved a year and all of those things were part of their responsibility. And they handled it well. There were certainly some situations I think that they could have handled differently, or a little bit better, but overall they handled it well. They are now much better prepared for those things that I touched on in terms of leadership and team chemistry. They are better basketball players. Their performance will be better, but they're much better prepared for some of the intangible things, and that's good for our basketball team. Chip Rank, Matt Morrison, the 2 other guys that saw a lot of time last year, both doing great. Great workouts, they're both healthy. Our newcomers, and I know there's been quite a bit of talk about some of the new guys. The only 2 new guys to the program, Wes Washburn, who transferred in from Tennessee, has to sit this year because of the transfer. He's got 3 years of eligibility left. He's got a ton of personality. Reminds us a little bit of Kajo in terms of having a smile on his face and being highly competitive and being vocal, and that's going to help us in our practices, help us in our locker room. Matt McDougall is the other new player to our roster. Matt is from Cedar Rapids and will most likely redshirt this year. And then the group of guys that a couple of them redshirted, a couple of them played a little bit, and a couple of them have been around for 2 and 3 years. Tyler Lang, Max Martino, Nate Buss, Marvin Singleton. Those 4 guys have been in uniform. They've played some. All 4 of those guys have better positioned themselves through their workouts, and now with some more experience, to be in a position where they can earn some minutes and be in the rotation. And then the 2 redshirts from last year that were redshirt freshmen, Matt Bohannon and Chris Olivier, both are doing some things that we feel like are going to make us a better team. The bottom line, and the last thing I'll tell you, and I think you've those of you that have been around our program for a little while have gathered that from me, or this from me. It comes down to the intangible things, and this year will be no different. The leadership, the team chemistry, and something I've talked to this group quite a bit about is the commitment to each other. And we have an opportunity to have a very deep team. We haven't played anybody yet. We haven't done anything yet. We won't know until we start playing teams, until we get into our season, if this is a really deep team, if it's one of the deepest teams that we've had. That we'll find out later. I do know today that we've got an opportunity to have a very deep team. And I expect that our guys, between now and when we start playing games, will be competing extremely hard individually, to get better in their practices, to work on their conditioning, to put themselves in a position where they are the ones that are on the game floor. I expect that 1 through 16, when we show up for our workouts, that they're doing that. And that they don't at any time buy into, okay, last year this was my role, so I'm just going to settle into this role again. We want our guys competing at the highest level and moving forward individually to help our program, help our team this year. But when that period is done, and we're working on it right now, but when that period is done over the course of the next 3 to 4 weeks, the commitment that we've got to each other, 1 through 16, and the commitment to this program, to have great team chemistry, and to be one unit, and to be a group that is going to stand up for each other, and have the right intangibles, that, like most years, and I would argue every year, is what's going to determine how our season goes. So that's something we're talking to the guys a lot about, something we're pushing with them. And when I say pushing with them, not something we have to convince them about. These guys have been around, they understand it. And now it's, some of the roles are going to change. There's going to be some different expectations from guys individually. And that part of it needs to, when we get to a certain point, we need to make sure we're all on the same page. And I'm confident that we will be. I just want to thank a couple people, and then we'll get to your questions. I don't know if Kevin is still back there, but Kevin sets up the room and does the food. Kevin Launderville. I want to thank Troy for his continued support of our program. Has allowed us to recruit and compete at a very high level. We've set some expectations and have got some lofty goals for this program. And in order to be in a position to recruit the right student athletes and the right families, be in a position to be competitive every year for postseason play, you have to have support from the top, and we've had that. I've had that from Troy, and I really appreciate that. As we all know, this is Ben Allen's final few months with us as our president. He and Pat have been terrific. Those of you that have had the good fortune of getting to know them, or even just having one conversation with Ben and Pat, you know what kind of people they are and what they've meant to our university, to our community, and to our athletic department. And we would like to thank them today as well. My assistant coaches are back there. They're doing a great job with the guys. You know, one of their major responsibilities is how our guys are doing academically. And they've got 4 or 5 of our players, and they meet with them once a week to make sure that they're on track with what they're doing on a weekly basis with their classes. There's some big picture stuff academically they talk about in those meetings as well. But that aspect of our program has been at a high level. It's remained at a high level, and the assistant coaches are largely responsible for that. They're helped by Stacia Grieve, our athletic academic advisor for men's basketball. She does some other programs as well, but for men's basketball, and she's been terrific. So with that, I would take your